Hi, welcome back to Chop's Garage. Now, some of you eagle-eyed people spotted that the Clio in the last video had trade plates on it. This is the Clio that we bought from a subscriber, exactly as the subscriber described it was. Perfect car, low mileage, 35,000 miles, 2016 or 2017 is it? 2017. Full history on it. It's even had a cam belt. As you can see, it's in beautiful condition, really nice blue. It's got all the toys, the sat nav, everything. For whatever reason, this car was not selling with me. I was well under Auto Trader. I think Auto Trader valued it around 9.2, something like that, I think it was. I had it for like 8,995, 8,795, 8,495. Just was not getting any bites at all. All the other ones on Auto Trader are all around the 9.2 still, even a little bit higher. I don't know if it's because I'm not a big dealer with lots of new cars, or I guess if I had a forecourt full of lots of sort of 5-year-old cars and it was a big forecourt that people knew of, they could wander around it on a Saturday and look at multiple cars, and I offered finance because I was asked about finance on this one. Maybe it would have sold. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the car whatsoever. Advisory free MOT, freshly serviced, all ready to go. Drives perfectly. I think the only thing I did on it was change an oxygen sensor, wasn't it? Just wasn't shifting. Anyway, I dropped it to 8,195, cheapest on Auto Trader by, like I say, almost £1,000 for its age and mileage and spec. And what's happened is one of our subscribers, his son, was looking for a car, and he put him onto this one. And his mum came and test drove it on the Friday, and then our subscriber came along with his son on Saturday, and they test drove it, and he liked it. He's looking for something that he's a young driver. He's just got out of his first car, so he needs small CC for the cheap insurance, wants the fuel economy, but obviously wants the looks, wants all the toys, and wants something you can just get in, turn the key on, and go to work without having to worry about it. So this fits the bill for that perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Like I say, really weird car. Don't know why it took so long to sell this. They've just confirmed this morning they are having it. So at least it's going to a good home. It's going to a good home. We're not really making any money out of it. We're kind of like, I added up the numbers on this. I spent, it was £300 in marketing this car alone. It didn't really have any costs for me in terms of prep, but it cost me £300 just in adverts for Auto Trader. Again, something I don't think a lot of people think of when they think a car dealer is flipping cars, and they see them take them in for part exchange and put them up for £1,500 more. You know, they don't allow for the VAT. They don't allow for the cost of marketing, and that's even before you start talking about the cost of the warranty and the cost of the prep. But yeah, going to a good home, and it's sold, so the money's back in the bank, and we can put it into something that maybe fits our stock, better. We've had this situation with newer stuff before, haven't we? For some reason, it's easier for me to sell a 10 grand Land Rover Freelander or something that's well older than this than it is for me to sell something newer, lower miles. But again, I think, as I said, I think these fit in with a certain forecourt, and we know where we are with stuff. Anyway, on to the Honda. We're giving the Honda a clean up. I had quite a bit of interest in this since we found it was a one owner. It's flown through its MOT without needing anything. It drives really well. It's machine polished down the side, which I can't remember if this is going to be in the video now or whether it's previously been told, but we'll show you that as well. Got all the swirl marks and the hedgerow marks out the door, so we've got nice gloss paint. Now, working our way to the interior, I thought I'd stop and just show you 1 second how to deal with dog hair. So those of you flipping cars or beginning to flip cars, one of your biggest challenges will be cars that have dog hair in it. This by no means is the worst. Those of you who saw the dog hair Astra will know how bad they can be. Over time, now luckily this one doesn't smell of dog, funnily enough. So either it wasn't a smelly dog or they did something to keep it fresh, but there's a lot of the short dog hair all about, and I just thought I'd show you the quickest way to get that out of the car, because you can spend hours and hours and hours doing it. Now also, I'm going to put all the things that I use in my Amazon shop. I'll put a link below the video. There'll be a link to my Amazon shop where I put all the things I use in the videos to make it easy for you to go and get them yourself. Now, one thing you're definitely going to want is one of these rubber dog hair removers. They're like a rubber blade, and you've got a toothed edge there and a flat edge there, and as you draw, it pulls the dog hair out, and you can see it's already starting to sort of gather all the dog hair in one line as I pull it towards. But your biggest issue is the dog hair gets in underneath the fibre, so the edge of the hair gets in underneath the fibres, and it wants to stay in the carpet. So what you're trying to do is lift it out of the carpet. I know it sounds obvious, but you're trying to, it's not sitting on top, you're trying to draw it out from under. So one of my other top tips is get the drill brushes out. Now, again, these are linked in the Amazon shop. So these we normally use for wet cleaning. So these mats were covered in mud. You could use these to really sort of draw the mud out. What they actually do with the dog hair is, if you use them dry, it will lift the dog hair out of the matting of the carpets and so forth. The other thing you want on hand is you don't want it to drop back in again, so you want your hoover on hand. So as you're doing it, you can pick it up. Let's see if I can demo that for you for a moment. Now, I haven't got two hands free, but ideally what you do is I would hold the hoover by the drill as you're going, so it's actually sucking the hairs up as the drill brush draws them out. So that's just my tip for how to get dog hair out quickly. You don't want to get it wet because you'll make it smell really bad. So, and ideally you don't want to get cars that wet anyway, because they'll just steam up forever and a day afterwards. So in the nooks and crannies and stuff, this is a bit easier. On the large flat areas, this area, this technique works well. Both of them combined works really well. Let me just show you, the rear parcel shelf was absolutely covered in dog hair. I think the dog must jump up and run around on it. But as you can see now, we've got no dog hair in it. Well, I'm not saying no, but it looks clean as a whistle. That was absolutely covered in white hair, so just to use that technique there. So hopefully that helps some of you. It's a good negotiating point when you go to look at a car that is covered in dog hair, because the reality is the car isn't worth as much, because it's going to take a huge amount more labour to get the dog hair out, get the smell out of it, that kind of thing, to get it up to the standard you want to retail. So you can use it as a negotiation point, knowing how you're going to go and clean it out. And why shouldn't you? Because at the end of the day, you're going to spend quite a lot of time sorting it out. And that's what it's all about, trying to make money out of your time. And there we have it, using that technique. We've got a nice clean carpet. Right, my next tip for you is we've got a nice set of genuine Civic mats here. All of them in good condition, bar the driver's one. The heel is worn through. We don't want to stick an aftermarket generic set of mats in. We don't want to go and pay the price for a genuine set of mats. So what can we do about tidying this up? Well, what I always have kicking around is some of these felt double-sided backed sheets, A4 sheets. I think you might see me use them on my Suzuki Swift Sport on the damaged bolsters as a quick fix on that. So these are double-sided, got double-sided tape on the back, and they're black felt on the top. So what we can do is just pop that over the top. It'll blend in a bit more with the black mat there, give a bit more protection on that heel again, tidy it up and allow us to carry on using the mat. So it's double-sided. Oh, just keep it in one nice big square. You don't want to trim it down to that exact hole, because it will peel off a lot easier. In fact, this one might be better like that, possibly, I think. So we put that down there. Just use the palm of my hand to smooth it over the top. And because your force when you're in the car is directly down on it, you're actually just pushing that double-sided down onto the mat. When you're in the car driving it around, you're not like got anything getting up the edges, and it will actually stay on there really well. So again, it allows us just to keep that genuine mat that fits perfectly in place with the rest of the mats that are in good condition. And yeah, just tidies it up nicely. Like I say, this has got 1,000,001 uses. I always keep a load of it. Again, I'll put it in the Amazon shop where to get it from. Just really useful without kicking around for really quick repairs on upholstery, on seats, on mats, on the carpets underneath the mats, all that kind of stuff, boot floors, everything. What I want to do first though is get the black, see how much we can bring this back up again. I don't think it's supposed to be black, I think it's supposed to be like a dark grey. So for those of you who haven't seen it before, what we use for that is Outro. You guys recommended this to me. I hadn't seen it before. We use it for all kinds of stuff now. Super simple, just brush it on, let it soak in a bit and then wipe it off. You see, as you put it on, it soaks in. This brush is probably not the best brush. I need to get a cleaner brush. But we'll put it on for the moment and let it sink in, because this is the greyiest bit. And it is the best stuff for it. I've not found anything that beats it really, to be honest, other than obviously spraying it, which you don't really want to do. It takes more time up and gives a fake finish. Wheels have come out super nice. They just got to clean off with the dilutable wheel acid stuff. That again is in the shop if you want to get it. Works really well and goes a really long way. So yeah, we'll let the outroll soak in for a bit, and I might get on with a bit of machine polishing in between. You can see here on the wing, you've got all these fine scratches. It's from the hedgerows here in Devon. So we've got some compound, and we're going to give it a buff. We've got for the sort of worst stuff, I use the G3 on one of these fabric pads on the polisher, and I've got my silver line set up with the mop head on it, the soft wool head on it, to then buff it off afterwards. There we go, after the wool head, just going over with a cloth. That's dry cloth. And you can see the difference. Look at that. Crystal clear now. The trick is when you're using the compound, make sure that the head of your polisher is still turning. If you're pushing down it too hard and the head, you can see that the head isn't moving, then you're not going to actually get the marks out. You won't do a decent job, so you need to hold it lightly enough. You have it at almost top speed. Make sure the head's moving. Keep moving around so you don't burn through. Which you're unlikely to do, to be honest, unless you're really mad. Just hold it in one spot. But yeah, make sure that head is spinning, and then just work your way around and around and around, and then get your wool. Obviously, you don't have to have a wool-headed polisher afterwards. You can just use a cloth afterwards, but wool-headed polisher will give you the extra bit of shine afterwards, and just speeds the process up. So you can see the difference between that bit of the panel there and there. See all the lines? So back in following morning, little RAV4 drove absolutely brilliantly. I'm really impressed with this car. I was out in it for about an hour, driving about the place. Absolutely perfect. I can't even complain that the windscreen wipers squeak. There isn't a knock or a bang from the suspension. The brakes are brilliant. Temperature stayed exactly where it was. It's just a really nice little car to drive. The automatic gearbox is smooth. It doesn't drop down and scream it so much on the hills. I can't imagine it's massively economical with a 2-litre petrol in it. But if you're just running around locally, you're doing away with all of that sort of dual mass flywheel, DPF, EGR, injectors, all those kind of difficult diesel issues you get when they get to this age. So we're going to give it a clean, and well, we're going to give that a clean, and we're going to give the 307 a clean. But I need to be careful today because this is like an ice rink. We've had such a lot of ice and sleet and all sorts going on up here. So yesterday I fell flat on my back, didn't I? And I don't want to do the same again today, put myself out of action. But we've got a lot on. We've got the chap coming to see this, we've got the lady coming to see the 307, and we've got the Clio going out, which needs another clean down, just a light one from being out on a test drive. So we've got a lot on. So I think I need to get myself one of those heated car washers, don't I? One with the diesel in it that heats the, after saying diesel was bad news, heat the water up, and I can start blasting this down and make sure that it's not slippy, and also speed up the process of the cars. But I haven't got one now, so it's going to have to be lots of hot buckets of water, some gloves on, all wrapped up, and like I say, just be a little bit careful on these slopes. They're saying it can get up to minus figures up here today, because up where I am, it's like a microclimate. We're that much higher than everywhere else. It gets super cold. Anyway, enough whinging, let's get cracking. They've got to clean them, they've got to be clean, so we just get on and do it. The guy's actually hailing when I'm trying to clean the cars. What a pain in the you-know-what. Coming down really hard now, guys, but we've got no choice other than to carry on and just hope it stops at some point. I'll focus on getting the wheels done first before I start trying to blast the outside. So the snow stopped long enough for me to be able to clean the outside of the Peugeot off, so we brought that inside. I did actually speak to the lady and recommend she didn't come up today to look at it because of the roads. Obviously she just had one car written off, doesn't want to do the same thing again. So we're going to rebook with her. Spoken to the gentleman again about the RAV4, our subscriber, and we've agreed obviously he's going to come in a different day as well. I did the test drive yesterday, gave him the feedback on the test drive that I did last night. He's happy to go. I did get a chance to clean the wheels off. It's looking really nice actually, that in that gunmetal grey. I've had quite a few phone calls. I've had a phone call on a Suzuki Ignis. Someone wants to come and have a look at that. It is it's another written off vehicle, unfortunately. Another written off vehicle, and a guy needs a little run around until his insurance pays out and he decides what he wants to do. And I've had another phone call from a lady that has also had a write-off on a car her daughter has. So she's looking for a little run around. She was looking for a very cheap car. I did actually mention to her that I've got the Ford KA coming back off the Clio. So that's coming in tonight. So could be that's a good match for her, that or the little 107. She wanted a really cheap to run sub 3k car. My problem again is I haven't got stuff ready. That's my problem. I need to build up a stock of ready cars that are ready to go, because it's all well and good having customers want to buy my cars, but they've got to be ready, and otherwise there's no money in the bank and there's no deal done, is there? So I really do need to get cracking. That's why even when the weather's like that, you've just got to get on and do it anyway, because no one gives you any extra time back at the end of the month. But guys, we're getting serious. I've got proper folders to give the paperwork away in now, and business cards. You know, up to this point I haven't had business cards all this time. Never needed them, probably still don't need them, but every now and then I've been getting asked. So I've got my business cards, and like I say, what I've been using is plastic sleeves before to put the paperwork in, but we've got proper actual folders now. It's almost like I'm a proper car dealer, isn't it? There we go, I've got it inside. It's obviously looking shiny because it's wet, but the gunmetal alloys came out nicely. They're all in good nick. What did I want to show you? I wanted to show you the scuff over this side. I don't think I've got enough light. I think we'll have to have a look at it. Let's have a look back in the morning. Well guys, I think we all knew it. I couldn't help myself. I went to town a bit on the RAV4, gave it a bit of a machine polish, gave it a waterless wax, obviously a hoover out. I used a bit of leather balm on the seats to bring them out a little bit. Obviously gelled the tyres, and I have to say, having done it, I now think I've massively undersold it. It really is in fantastic nick for the age. I mean, bear in mind this is a 2005 car. It drives so nicely. I'll look under the engine bay. Remember, I put a link down below to my Amazon shop for all the products, because I constantly get asked, what did you use for this, James? What did you use for that? So the interior plastics cleaned with the cabin cleaner, the engine bay cleaned with G101, and then has the cabin cleaner again used for that to get the plastics up. Obviously the tyre gel, I think it's called Pro Clean, isn't it? The tyre gel, the wheel acid to clean the wheels first. I've got to be careful of the ice here still. And then the gel for the tyres. I'll add the black balm I use for seats. I carry a little pot of it around so that when I have leather, I can use that normally just on the bolsters, really, just to tidy them up a little bit. I'll just show you on this one. Yeah, just where it was all a bit cracked and some of the white comes through. There's a bit of black balm on the sides. I need to give that a buff when it's dried off. But yeah, this is, for the age, has come out super nice. I've had a bit of advice since on its value, and it was at the top end of what I said. Is pretty much what the value is, about 5k ish. So bear in mind we sold a 2006 with a manual gearbox with 92 on it for 3,995. This is an auto. It's about 6 months older, but it's an auto, same mileage. So this was probably easily a 4,995 car. I've let it go for a lot less than that, but as we said, the customers had a car from me before. I'm still making a bit of profit. They're getting into a car quickly. I've had not to do an awful lot other than obviously do the detailed valet on it, which, as I said, got overboard because it's just such a nice little car though, isn't it? I mean, look at it. I really do like the black tinted glass with the gunmetal grey and the black leather. Gives it a little bit of a class. I mark my words, our subscriber thinks they're going to have this as a fill-in car until they get their insurance money through and buy something newer. I'll be very surprised if they get shot of this. Very surprised. Unless I'm missing something major mechanical, I'd be very surprised if they get shot of this. So anyway, that's all set for going out today. This is the car that was part exchanged yesterday. We took in part exchange this little Ford Ka against the Renault Clio, which was a 2017. That Clio that I still don't understand to this day why it took so long to sell. Our subscribers' sons had it and they've part exchanged in their little Ford Ka. We haven't had one of these for a while, have we? It's a 58 plate. It must be late 58 because I think these were on a 2008 was still the old shape, weren't they? So it must be a late 58, I would have thought. I'll check the paperwork. It may even be a 2009. It's a Z-Tech, so that's hence the alloys. I think it's done 97,000 miles. It's had quite a lot of owners. I think it's 10 owners on the book because it's changed hands like 5 times in the same family. I'm not quite sure why people do this. So the registered keeper of the car is not the owner of the car. The owner of the car is the person that has the invoice to prove they own the vehicle. You can tax a car without being the registered owner. So really all it's really going to affect is, I guess, if you I don't know, I guess on the insurance you have to say you're the owner of the vehicle, don't you? So maybe that's why they did it. And obviously for the fines, if you get road fines as well for speeding and so forth. So they've, every time it's gone from, I think they said it went from the father to the mother to the daughter, back to the mother, to the son, back to the mother, something like that. You'll correct, you watch the video, so you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, a huge amount of the owners are from one family. Again, people get obsessed with how many owners a car's had. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to this age and price range, you buy on condition, you buy on the mechanics, you buy on a clean MOT. I wouldn't be worrying too much about how many owners it's got, because you could say, oh, lots of owners means that it's been hard worked, lots of owners means the clutch is bad. Well, those things will be present when you look at the car bodywork wise, when you drive it. You know, if the engine's good, the engine's good. If the clutch is good, the clutch is good. Doesn't matter how many owners has been on it, does it? Anyway, so it is a Z-Tech, which means it's got the funky white interior, it's got the alloys, we've got the Bluetooth there. Yeah, it looks like we've got the Bluetooth for the phone. I'm right in saying that, aren't I? I haven't had one of these for a while, have I? We've got electric windows, believe it or not. Some of these do come with manual. We've got the CD radio with the warm buttons, as they always do. It's actually in really nice condition. Look how clean and tidy it is, isn't it? I mean, it's the lightest little hoovers out. They really have looked after. All the seats are in good condition. We've got a service history that's stamped to 2017. Now, our subscriber assures me that he's been servicing it since, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he's kept a hold of the receipts for his services. I've got the receipts for the MOTs, but not for the services. He also tells me the cam belt's been done. He knows his stuff because I know what goes wrong with these, and he's been telling me about things he's replaced. And he's, I think he said he was an engineer himself, and he's been replacing parts on the car himself, and he's done the stuff that I know goes wrong, like the lower suspension arms, that kind of thing, which when I've driven it, I can confirm they don't knock, which they do on vast majority of these. When you get them in second hand, you have to do the suspension straight away. So yeah, he also assures me it's had a cam belt, which I can normally tell, yeah, the sticker's missing. There's a sticker that covers that bolt hole up there that tells you that you cannot do the cam belt without taking that sticker off. So that would indicate one's been done, but I can pop that top cover and have a look at the belt. The nice thing about these is you can just about squeeze, you can at least lever the cover out enough to see the belt. All looks good down here. It's all dry. Again, that's what we tend to look for. We're looking for whether there's leaks between the gearbox and the engine, and leaks from the rocker cover. These 1.2s, I mean, it's been a while since I've spoken about it. We might have a lot of new subscribers to the channel. I started out by doing Fiat 500s and Ford Kas. These 1.2s are pretty much bulletproof. The only thing that goes really with them is the ECU, which gives you a misfire and a cutout. That is just 4 bolts. You send it off, it comes back to you 48 hours, plug it in, jobs are good. And if your clutch is good, other than that, the engines themselves are tough as old boots. They'll go on forever and a day. They really will. I've had one of these engines with 180,000 miles on it, and that didn't have any service history at all on it. The oil is a nice clear colour, really clean. So a quick look, show me on my finger. So again, I am pretty sure the servicing has been happening. I just would recommend that if you are doing this, guys, you keep the receipts for the oil and filters you buy and put them in your folders so that you can show some evidence. It's a really hard to read coolant level on these because the bottles get dirty. It's really hard to read where the coolant is. Obviously don't do this if the engine has been running. It hasn't been running this morning. I can see it. It's probably towards just above the minimum side of things on that. I don't really ever have head gasket issues with these. As a general rule, they tend to be pretty good. It is literally that ECU. So on these, it's your lower arms for knocking, you listen out for your ECU for misfires, engine codes, and your sump. You must get, I've checked, obviously this one, get underneath and check the sumps are dry on these because they like to rot their sumps out. But the sump is bone dry on this one. It starts up on the button really nicely, goes through the gears okay. I mean, as we know, as a rule with our subscribers, when they sell me their cars, they're good cars. Right, getting a little bit of work done on the Cougar. Remember, we got this Cougar. This is one I've been using to potter around in. Went for a trip with Adrian the other day. I don't know if I've covered that on a video or not yet. A couple of little things that I was waiting on was the covers to go around the lower fogs. And somebody commented on the last video, please, for goodness sake, change out the gear lever knob because it's worn out. Well, it's this Chop's Garage. Do you think I was going to leave a worn gear knob on it? Really? I'd ordered one up, hadn't turned up yet, so we've got the new one here. Make sure I get that spring back in. I'll bung that on. Oh, that's the old one. That's the old one. That's why we're replacing it, because the leather's all gone on. Let's get the new one a set. So if we pop the new one on, that'll tidy it up straight away, the interior. I think there's one other thing we found might need doing, a window regulator on this window. Unless any of you know anything about this, let me put the keys in and show you, because some of you legends out there might tell me there's another fix for it. Actually, this is keyless, isn't it? So let's just start it up so we've got some power. It's the passenger window. If we do this, it goes down fine, but it's like there's a sensor when we put it up, it thinks it's hitting someone's neck or something and goes back down again, and then you can cut it back up again, it goes down a bit more, and if I hold it up it will stay. So is that a new window regulator? I think it's probably a new window regulator, isn't it? I'm asking because there's lots of you out there far more experienced than me that probably done this 101 times before. Right, new gear knob on. That is about the limit of my mechanical knowledge, isn't it, guys, putting gear knobs on. Right, set the reverse works. I've done it before where I've tightened it down too much and reverse doesn't work. So there we go, that's tidied it straight up, hasn't it? Got a 6-speed gear knob on. Let's see if it's as easy to swap these things onto the front. I'll leave it to your guesses as to why it was missing in the first place. I have absolutely no idea why they were missing. But do I need to put the chrome covers on first or after? And do these even fit? Yes, they do. Let's have a quick look before I clip that in firmly. Let's see if the chrome, looks to me like the chrome cover might want to go on first. I think almost looks like it clips in the back actually. Yeah, the chrome pieces go on that trim first, so it's a good job I didn't push it in fully. And that one wants to slide down there. It doesn't want to sit particularly nicely. Oh, hold on. Is that it? No. So look, just double check I've got everything lined up like it should be. Check this isn't a two-handed job, I say. No, it just needed me to man up and push it in a bit harder. No, it just needed me to man up and push it in a bit harder. So yeah, that's a bit tighter, isn't it? This is the kind of thing that frustrates me when people ring me up and try and bid me so hard on the car. I mean, I'm talking like £500 off cars. Do they really think dealers who prep them to this level have that kind of margin? Now, obviously, if I put this car up at a full price against other cars and didn't go around and do these things, gear knobbed, all this adds up. I mean, we're probably talking, over £100 to do this alone. If we didn't go around and do these kind of things and left them as they are, but then priced them the same as the perfect models, then yes, you can knock 500 quid off. But where people think dealers have the margin to knock 500 quid off a car they're properly prepared, I don't know. I don't wonder how much margin they think a dealer has in a car. There we have it. The Cougar has its proper face back again. So we'll get a window regulator on the way if you guys tell me that's what you think it is, unless some of you know some kind of reset on it. And then we'll get it in and get it valeted, because it's got the new MOT on it as well, so we don't want to waste that. And I think a test drive to Solihull and back is sufficient test drive enough to prove that it is a good runner driver too. And then, like I say, I think it'll be 3995 this one. I'm trying to get this valeted next because the market at the moment is 4x4s and small cheapies, because obviously you can see we've still got weather like this kicking around, so still getting a few calls on 4x4s, and then the other calls, like I say, of people that have written off cars and just want little cheapies. Mercedes is back. Should we quickly go through what the Mercedes needed for its MOT? Any of you interested in hearing that? We're going to hear it anyway. I shouldn't assume that everybody knows what this car is all about. So this is one we picked up from a main dealer. It was a part exchange car, bit of drama because it turned out salesperson hadn't HPI'd the car and it was a Cat N. Luckily I picked it up by running a car vertical first, so I didn't overpay for the car and we got a decent deal on it. So yeah, we got it back here, cleaned it up. It's only done 50-odd thousand miles. The interior was looking pretty filthy, but I gave it one hell of a clean up, as you can now see. It is really immaculate inside, really nice condition. I think the rubbers on the doors probably aren't that great. We're getting a bit of condensation inside, but we have got to bear in mind it's 2005. Just put it down for its MOT. Yeah, the only other thing, like I say, was a bit scuffing on the bodywork, which we haven't quite decided if we're selling it as is or doing that. I think I'd probably quite like to do it, but if somebody wanted the car faster, they could have it as is at a cheaper price. So yeah, but the main thing was, excuse me, the main thing was to get down and get it MOT'd and check that we weren't ploughing money into something that wasn't worth doing. So MOT wise, it was actually really quite good. It only actually needed an exhaust mount. The screen washer pipes weren't connected, which might be from when it was Cat N. We think it was the bumper, so probably somebody was lazy and didn't reconnect the washer pipes. And new rear tyres. So we've done rear tyres, washer bottle, and an exhaust mount for the rear exhaust, which I did think I heard rattling when I first got it. So actually that's a really good pass for a car of that age. We haven't left any visor on it, so I said go ahead and service at the same time. So they've done oil and filter on it. Our total bill was £266, including £40 for the MOT itself, so £220 for the tyres and for the other repairs, and then I get to claim £37 back in VAT, so I'm quite happy with that. So I think what we're going to go with this one is £2,995 with the paint as it is, or I will get it in and I will get these bits of paint done and probably put it up for £3,495. Reason for the price difference is, one, it costs you £200 a panel to paint, but even if I do it myself, it's going to be probably a couple of days graft, so that, you know, you've got to be making the extra money out of doing that. But now it's serviced, now it's got its fresh MOT on it, it drives so nicely. Oh, I have got to put a bit more money into it. I'm going to put a new battery in it, because the battery seems to be fine if you're running around in it daily, but you leave it for more than a day, it drains. The boys are pretty convinced it's a battery, so that will actually cost me probably about another 150 quid, won't it? So even with a good car that gets away with a relatively light MOT, you can see I always end up throwing 500 quid into them quite comfortably, even on a good one. And yeah, so like I say, yeah, it'll either appeal to someone who's going to go and do the bits of paint themselves, or do the paint as and when they can afford and have it as it is, or someone who wants it, you know, absolutely looking at its best. Paint wise, we would do, I think, the little bit down there on that trim there, a little bit down there on the bumper there, a bit on the corner of the bumper there, and the front, one of the front trims, wasn't it? That one there, I think. I haven't machine polished yet, so I don't know how much some of the lighter scratches have come out. I think it would deserve a whole machine polish as well. It might be that so a quick look at the rubbers a sec. They all seem pretty good, actually. Might be somebody left a door ajar or a window ajar when it's parked up. Because when I had it for a few days, I don't remember it being... Actually, no, I'll tell you what it is. I bet it's from when I wet cleaned the carpets. I wonder if they're still a bit damp, or it's not cleared out from when I did that. It might just be residual from that, actually, because it's not been that dry here, as you know. It probably hasn't had a chance to fully dry out. Maybe we'll get a heater in it and dry out. Anyway, I digress. Just had a call from a subscriber, lovely chap. I don't use names, obviously, unless people have said it's okay to. On a Suzuki Ignis, because the other chap didn't turn up yesterday. He'd written a car off, and I think he was just ringing like anybody and everybody within a 3-mile radius on Facebook Marketplace with a car for sale. But our subscriber's done a bit more research and he's a bit more committed into buying it. His wife has a MX-5, but during the winter, that isn't ideal because she needs to get stuff in and out of the car to look after. I think it was horses she was looking after. What a brilliant idea to have this as a second car. she's going to have all the fun in the world, isn't she? MX-5 when it's dry, Ignis the rest of the time. She's just going to be, that's what I like. And she won't be obviously having a huge amount of money invested in stuff. It's a really good idea. So I'm going to do a few more pictures for him and send them off. And we need to try and arrange getting it closer to him as well. But he's seen all the videos. He knows the car. He's seen me driving it around. He's seen that I've got the advisory free motor. Done the springs on it, didn't I? Done the catalytic converter, all that good stuff. Yeah, so I'm just going to crawl underneath and take some pictures underneath. Didn't get any advisories for rust on it when I went through the MOT, but we'll get some pictures and just make sure that do something a bit more specific for him to make sure we've nailed absolutely everything on it. Yeah, cracking little car. I would keep this. I absolutely, if I had the inside, because I wouldn't want to leave it outside. If I had the inside space to keep this, as well as the Swift, I absolutely would, because they're just slightly different. The two of them are slightly different. The Swift has a slightly wider track and is lower down, but feels more grown up. Are still a lot of fun. This just feels like Banzai. You know, that's like you're 25 and that's like you're 17, I guess. It's just crazy little. I said it'll put a smile on her face. I hope it does, because it always has done on mine. And it never failed to start. Always been a great little car. Obviously, you know, we've had a discussion. It is a 2005 car after all. So again, as per some of the, I seem to be in a lot of old cars at the moment, don't I? There's not really much a warranty will cover on a car like this. Third-party warranty company, I don't think they even will cover a car this age. There's not an awful lot I can cover in it. I always just tend to say the same thing. I think the sensible approach is anything that stops the person from being able to get in and drive the car, then I'm good to help them out with. If it's a switch or a button or, you know, a piece of trim or something minor, a brake disc or that kind of thing, it's, you know, that age, they're going to have to be looked after by themselves. But if there's something that stops the car being sort of fit for purpose, you know, they can't get in, turn the key and drive it and get to where they want to get back, then that's something I'm going to be helping them out with. So yes, I'm being naughty, I'm servicing the Ignis in the showroom, but it's a super easy one to do. The filter and plug are right at the front of the engine, pretty much. Really easy to get to. There's almost enough height to do it without lifting the car, so I might as well crack on. I mean, based on what the Moors boys have been charging me, to be honest, it's easy to get them to do this on these cars now, but this is being picked up tomorrow and I don't have time to get it down there and back, and I'd get it filthy doing it because it's all been valeted, so it's going to take me a few minutes and we'll get it done and dusted. So this morning's epic fail. I'm here at the log cabin having had my fry up with my friend Mike, which I do every Saturday morning before I go in the Suzuki Swift Sport. Now, I hopped in the car this morning, I started it up, I drove it over here, but before I left home, I let it run in for it to clear all the screens and so forth, and had a bit of a clear out of the crud in the car. I noticed the red light was flashing for the key, because it's a keyless start car. I noticed the red light was flashing, but I thought, well, that's in my bag full of keys that I, you know, obviously take the keys back from the unit every night for security. So it's in my bag full of keys, no problem at all. Cleared the car out, hopped in the car, drove to the unit, got some screen washer fluid because the screen was getting dirty, but left the car running while I did that. Picked up Mike, drove out here to the log cabin, had my breakfast, came out, and you can see the red light flashing. Sorry for the camera work. I've got my worst camera with me there. Yeah, you can't, and I've set the horn off as well. So yeah, the light's flashing and the car won't start. So then I start to think, well, it's got to be in amongst all my keys. So I root for all my keys, look for everywhere, and there's nothing in there for the Suzuki at all. And then I remember when I cleaned out my car, I took out my gym bag, and I went to the gym yesterday morning, and I took my keys in with me to the gym in the gym bag, brought the gym bag out with the keys in it, and obviously I could start and run the car because the bag was in the footwell. So you've guessed it, I can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere because the keys are in the gym bag at home. So I've had to ring Mrs. Chops, who is not a very happy bunny about having to travel out over half an hour and drop me keys to the Suzuki so I get to work. And we have customers on the way to pick up cars as well. Technology, eh? What was wrong with a normal key? Oh, I'm in for it now. Mrs. Chops is here. Wait for the ear bashed I'm about to get. So the CLK has sold. As normal, I went through the list of people that had interest, and, you know, it's fair enough. It starts off at, you know, 6, 7, 8, and then end up whittling down to 1 or 2 because circumstances change and so forth. So we went through in order of the people that contacted me previously. Hit someone about a third from the bottom who was like, yeah, I still want to go ahead. They want to part exchange a car. We're taking in an MG3 like we had before. Nice little MG3, which will be a nice little bit of stock for me. So focus today is get the Merc ready for pickup on Monday, because the Ignis is being picked up on Saturday, but that's pretty much 100% ready, so I just need to get some fuel in that. Merc, we're changing the battery out, assuming that's what's causing the drain. We're going to swap that out first, and then I'll leave it overnight and give it a test. If that doesn't work, we'll pop it down to the Moors guys and get them to have a look over it. You just have to get the aircon filter out the way. And then the interior obviously has been fully prepped. I think I'm going to get the blow dryer in there and dry the carpets out a bit. They're still a bit damp from my wet dry. And then we will give the body a machine polish. See how much the scuffs we can get out. The gentleman's taking it with the scuffs on it. So we're going to just give it a machine polish, see what we can tidy up. I think that's probably the right way to buy it, to be honest. And I'd recommend someone just spend a bit of time watching my videos on rattle cannon and just tidy up the bits of trim like on the front corner there. Or pay someone, just, you know, smart repair guy around, just do the biggest bits like that bit on the corner there. Leave some of the smaller bits. I really don't think your average Joe is going to worry too much about those. I mean, that one's been touched and isn't too bad, so I'd probably just, yeah, probably do the bigger bits. As we know, the interior came out lovely. And luckily the boys kept it clean when they did the work on it, did the service in the MOT. They've kept it clean for me as well. So, like I say, I think the only thing was I sent it down with the carpets a bit wet, so we'll dry those out with the dryer. Like I say, give it machine polish, swap the battery out, get a bit more fuel in it, clean the wheels up, and we'll be set to go, because they put new tyres on the back, so the wheels are a bit dirty. Well, quite I forgot, actually, I've got to nip down and pick up the Ford K because it passes MOT. I don't think it needed anything, actually, which is a result. My subscriber told me he didn't think it would, but you never know, do you? So, yeah, we're going to swap it out for the Gila. We'll get them a tray plates, get the 4K back, and then actually the 4K is a bit of a priority to clean up, because I think that'll sell quite quickly. Boy, she's frosty, but she started up straight away on the button. You can see that my little microclimate is still going strong here. Ice everywhere still. The lady next door today in her brand new Tiguan had a little bump today on the way in. So that's like 3 days running people have had bumps due to ice. So I got the Ford KA back. Dropped off that Gila. Nice one, this one. Very rarely get this. The subscriber was right. The car needed nothing. We just did oil, filter, oil, and a bulb. The boys at Moors have undercharged me as normal. £97.30 to do me an oil and filter change and an MOT. And that includes £10 of VAT. So it's actually £87.30. Bargain. So yeah, I mean, this just needs a light clean up and we can put it up for sale. And I imagine it shall go fairly quickly. I'm not going to, I mean, there's some little scuffs here and there, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to go back old school with it. We're going to be about a £2,495 mark on this. 97,000 miles, 2009, with a brand new MOT on it and serviced. It'll go up with a 3-month warranty. I think that's a good little package for someone looking for a first car. Just spotted a little ding in the sill down there. I didn't spot that actually with my Part X check. There's quite a ding all the way along the sill there. I missed that. Shows you need to take a bit more care when you're doing your inspections on your part exchange vehicles. That said, I think at this price point it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. I forget what the exact shape should look like actually. Yeah, it's no biggie. It's no biggie. Again, cheap car. You know, not going to be putting a sill on it or anything like that, are we? Or pulling it out and painting it up. It's not really worth it. It's not. No one's going to pay the extra cash for it, are they? Interestingly, if you went to your insurance about that and asked them to repair it, they would, you know, normally that's from driving up the corner of a curb or something. They'd write it off and say it's Cat S, because they can't just bolt that panel on. It needs to be cut out and welded in, the whole sill. So if you ask that to actually be repaired, they'd write your car off. So KA all cleaned up, doing the photo shoot and a little short walk around video on this now, in a big hurry to get it up being Friday. Good time for people to be looking for cars. So yeah, came up really clean. Yeah, it's got dings and dents here and there, but overall, for the age of the car, for the money, especially if it was going to be your first car, I think you'd be well happy with that, wouldn't you? Right, let's get it all loaded up. Might be problems, slight difference in battery size of the one that's been sent to me. 80 AH, 95 AH, and just obviously physically it's bigger. So hopefully that is going to solve our problem. Alright, give it a good quick go. There we go. I'm trying to get that sticky stuff off. I don't know how brave I am. Right, so we'll leave it and come back to it in the morning and see if it starts as strong as it started there. So I'm on the Mercedes. As I said, the subscriber opted to have the car as is without the paintwork being done. I should really be cracking on cleaning the Peugeot, but instead I decided to machine polish this. And as always, it's taken longer than expected, because if you want to do it properly, you have to go over it repeatedly and make sure you've got all the compound off and got a really good shine to it. Obviously, like the things like the wing mirrors coming up a lot better now. I'm not going absolutely crazy. Obviously, I don't know. It's an older car. I don't know the score of the paint. I'm not going to go really heavy cutting into it, but it's certainly taking out the lighter scratches and giving it a nice shine. But yeah, it's one of those jobs that I really, obviously with the delay this morning as well to pick up of a car, I've got someone popping in a minute with a car they might want to sell to me. I'll probably be doing it when the sun starts to go down. I wanted to get some pictures of it before then, because the customer said there's only more pictures you can send me over as well, because I think they're a bit excited about getting it. Anyway, let's chat more buffing, I guess. So we've got another Kia. My mate Dale came across. He's a mechanic, known him for a while now, from the Alfa Ragazzi days. He's the chap I said was going to be coming by with a car today. He's bought me his mother-in-law's Kia Rio, and this is the 1.4 diesel, which I think is a stupidly economical little car. I'll have to look up the exact facts on that. So Dale got this car for his mother-in-law. She's used it very infrequently, but more recently the clutch has started to be a bit of a problem, so she's used it even less. So what Dale did this morning is he put a new clutch in it, and he got it MOT'd, and he said to her, if you're not using it, I'm going to get a shot of it. And he's sold it to me, offered it to me. With a new MOT on it and a clutch, it seemed like a bit of an easy buy, really, to be honest. He did leave some advisories on the MOT, so I'm going to have to get those off, which I think is a tyre and the brake discs had pitting or scoring. But he's pretty sure, well, he knows, because he is a mechanic, that that pitting and scoring is from the car sitting around. He's driven it over here today, and the discs are actually looking all right. So maybe if I drive it around a bit myself, that advisory will sort itself out, because he said he put new discs and pads on it when he got it for her in the beginning. The other advisory was a tyre with some wear on it. Now I noticed this one's a little low, so maybe it's this one. That looks a little low tyre pressure wise, although the tread looks all right. So yeah, it doesn't look like we've got an awful lot to do. We've got a ding in the door here, and the interior has started to pick up a bit of light, sort of the kind of light surface mould you get from a car sitting around. So we need to give it a good clean. It's nicely kitted out. What have we got? Aircon, Bluetooth, 6-speed 1.4 diesel, as I said. Yeah, it looks like it's nicely specced out, and it looks like it's going to clean up nicely. Maybe it'll be worth getting a dent guy to try and get that out. The alloys, they look all right. They just need a really good clean. So what I'll do is I'll drive this one home tonight, because it's still taxed, and I will see how it goes and report back. Oh, the other thing is she's lost all the flipping books for it. That's the really annoying thing. No, she hasn't got the, well, at least Dale doesn't think he has. She didn't give them to him, so he's going to go and ask her. But the service book and all that kind of stuff, last couple of years Dale's been servicing it, but I may have to get hold of Kia, see if they've got any history. But we'll do a service anyway, I think, as when we go down and get the advisories taken off the MOT. It's a 2014 64, so mid 2014, with 92. They're not worth an awful lot. I think the retail for this is about 4.2, 4.4. I mean, I'm hoping to do 3.995, because he's done the clutch and the MOT already for me. So if I get away with just putting a tyre on it and giving it a clean, I think it'll be a nice car to try and retail at 3,995, and for that kind of money I think it'll be a little bit of a bargain for someone, won't it? But we've got to drive it yet, so let's find out how that goes. Anyway, I've got to finish off this polishing. Well, the sun's just gone down and I've just finished. Well, I think I've finished. I'll have to check in the morning, well, Monday morning now, exactly what else needs doing. It will need a final waterless wax to remove any residue left over, but it is looking, it will need its tyre shine on, but it's looking very nice indeed. Obviously it still has the scratch, oh, there's some polish there already. It still has the scratches in the bodywork that you know, were there, the paint bits that the customer opted not to have done. And like I said, I didn't go crazy with the machine polisher. Being a cat car, I wasn't quite sure where and when it had been painted, so just enough to give it a nice shine and take out some of the lighter marking, lighter scratches. But yeah, I think it looks pretty darn fantastic, obviously with the interior being mint as well now. And I've moved this in and out multiple times today, get the Ignis out, get the Peugeot out, put windows up, put windows down. The battery's been absolutely fine, so it clearly was a new battery that was needed on it. So there we go. It's Saturday night. It's time to pack it up, go home. I think a beer. It's been one of them days today, isn't it? It's been hectic from start to finish. But I hope you've watched with enthusiasm. No, that's not what I want to say, is it? I hope you've watched and enjoyed. You don't need to watch with enthusiasm. You just need to watch, even if you've got a frown on your face. I hope you've enjoyed it all. Again, just a little bit of what it's like daily trading. We'll find out how the Rio goes home tonight. You can't see, it's too dark. And I'll report back to you on that as well. And we'll find out if the lady picks either the Peugeot or the Citroen or not. We'll find out how quickly we sell the part exchanged KA. Some of you said it would go this weekend. I got it ready on Friday night. You said it'd sell on Saturday. It hasn't. But to be fair, I could have voicemails. I could have messages on Facebook. I've not even had a chance to stop and look today. It's been that busy. Anyway, enough waffling. Thanks for watching. Catch you again soon. Just got a little Rio to drive home. It says 60 miles to the gallon it's averaged. Over 60 miles to the gallon. That's mental. We'll soon get that down. Well, despite my very best efforts, I've got home and it's still averaging 57.6 miles to the gallon. Wow, that's amazing. I've just realised that's with the air con on as well.